Um, Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Gopal. This is how typically I start my podcast as well. But I've been in the industry for 22 years now. I run a podcast called Career Shifts. It's been a year with that journey, and I've kind of reached a stage where I'm thinking I should shift my careers as well. So, not an L&D guy. I've worked in the industry. I've kind of played variety of roles, but learning happened to be a thing that happened by accident. I went and joined IIM Ahmedabad a couple of years ago, 2021. They wanted to set up a school of public policy, and guess what? I was brought in to set up a school working with the government of India to design curriculum for the civil servants. And what I had to do was to train them how to work with industry, while I was training industry how to work with government. So it was an interesting journey. It gave me a lot of insights, but what it did was gave me an incredible empathy of why things work and why things don't. So now I know why there are potholes on Bangalore roads. Well, that aside, it boils down to another thing, which is people and leaders. And leaders often remain similar wherever they go, whatever they are in terms of their age. But I want to start my talk for today with a story of who I consider as my leader. Oops, sorry, not those two. My dad. He used to work for a company called Automobile Products of India Limited. If you all know API, Lambretta, Polo scooters, your parents may have had it. He used to work for that company. Career loyalist, worked in that same company for 38 years. Never thought of moving out even though the company shut down. Started as a clerk, moved up to cashier to accounts manager, and a lot what he said and did during the time between 1992 and 2003 is what has shaped me to be who I am today. A lot of coaching conversations, then mentoring. What he used to do is what has made me a leadership coach also as we speak today. The world that he operated was very different. It was all about hierarchies, it was all about loyalty, it was all about, you need to do it in a certain way, respect. No longer. We are working in times where we are being challenged as we speak by our multi-generational workforces. We don't spend as much time in any organizations either. Average tenure, 5 to 7 years. Some may be lesser, some may be more, but on an average, minimum 3 to 4 jobs is normal these days. And it is with that purpose is what I started my podcast as well, because a lot of people started reaching out to me saying, what do I do? I'm struggling with my career, and I had to tell them that linear careers are not the only option. You need to think about career in a very different manner. So that's for a different day. I keep doing this. This is what it used to look like. Leadership in the past. Traditional model rewarded tenure, control, and hierarchy. So you had employees, you had managers, executives, CEOs reporting into the board. Does this make sense anymore?
No.
But we have a lot of organizations operating in the same model. And which is where, when the Gen Zs and the millennials are coming in, they're challenging the status quo. They're saying, we don't want to be tied to tenures. We don't like being controlled. We want to do things the way we want to do things. A couple of years ago, I would say 2021, I used to run a program at EY called Gig Now. The program no longer exists, but it was all about gig economy and how people would be brought in to do a lot of work on contract, on freelancing. Guess what? A lot of us here are now doing that. And it's just going to continue to grow. We may want to call it as a solopreneur journey, we call it as an independent consultant journey, but it boils down to the need for more control in our lives. Sorry? This is what is happening as we speak. In the past, leaders were older, one size fits all teams. Respect comes with title, the chase for titles, designations. Authority was rarely challenged. बड़ों का आदर करो, सवाल नहीं पूछा करते, you know, जो बोला गया चुपचाप कर लो. And leadership meant I need to know everything. Is that the fact today? The answer to that is no. I can be as vulnerable and as humble to say I don't know the answer. Let me go and find that out. And people don't judge me for that. Today, authority is not earned; it's assumed, and we work in much more complex, chaotic, cross-functional teams than ever before, which are global in nature, globally distributed teams for that matter. And guess what? We have leaders who are younger, reporting into people who are much older. Oh, sorry, the other way around. So it's going to create more and more challenges around that. That's me and my journey as a leader. But coming back to this, and in the interest of time, what we are today focusing, it seems, more on strategy, execution, efficiency, AI, OKRs, etc. But the missing piece that we are all seeing in the organizations today is lack of empathy, lack of warmth, lack of human connection, leaders who don't listen, resulting into toxic work cultures, leaders who don't create an empathetic environment, and as a result, a lot of people complain that we don't feel that we belong here. Something that I keep writing about on my LinkedIn posts as well. So as we see this progressing, what do we need to do? And why does it not work? This is a new reality. You're working with machines, which is going to pose bigger threats. I just did a session for an organization where I asked, imagine you're hiring a bot. In the HR department, who do you think is responsible to hire? Talent acquisition? Or is it procurement? Okay, now the bot is here. The bot is spending 15 hours at work. Does your labor law apply? Will you give him leaves or her? I don't know. Maybe him, her. What are we doing, right? I think it's a point that we all need to reflect on as this world evolves, as to how do we ensure that the human connections are not getting replaced. It's time that we rehumanize workplaces. So what do we need? We need leaders who are more empathetic. We need leaders and people who are more curious, not just confident. We need people who are inclusive in nature or create inclusivity. We need people to be calm in chaos, very hard in times like these. Test would be after you leave here, just try to be calm as you go back home. And clear in ambiguity, and human first and tech aware. You can no longer afford to say, I don't know AI, right? With that, coming back to me, my dad and my son. My dad believed that he led with quiet discipline, loyalty was his leadership currency. I learned to lead with listening, still unlearning the old rules. But my son, he looks very different. He's going to be there in the next slide. Will lead without permission. He questions everything, and that's a gift. So what do we need to do? That's it. Just a few months ago, just turned 14 last week. So what we need to do is not to train leaders for yesterday. Let's shape them for tomorrow. And leaders who lead with heart, humility, and humanity are the ones that we need to create for us. Thank you very much. That's my time.